we think about all the stress we've been dealing with COVID, we're getting to a place where we need to really be taking care of our bodies because we've been under chronic stress for so long. So it's really important that at this time, like now that the vaccines are coming out and it's kind of like we can catch our breath a little bit, that we make sure that we're really actively taking good care of ourselves, our bodies, and our community. That is an excellent place for you to start implementing a coping mechanism. The coping mechanism that you elect should be practiced also when you're feeling okay, because part of it is about muscle memory. Because what happens sometimes is when we're very stressed, we don't want to engage in the coping mechanism. So the more you engage in the coping mechanism, the stronger it makes your mind. It's like muscle memory. So make sure to engage in a coping mechanism when you're not stressed, so that when you do engage in it when you're stressed, you're more likely to do it. So you often hear people say, oh, just do some self-care, take a bathtub, or light some candles. And so, that's great if you enjoy doing that. And I certainly love both of those things, but sometimes they're not helpful. And that can be because the stressor that you're encountering doesn't really remedy or doesn't match that response. I want you to think about the areas of self-care. So on physical, what you'll notice is when you're stressed out, you might notice that in your shoulders. So if it's your shoulders, perhaps like a massage, or, because of COVID, like getting one of those back massagers, or drinking more water, or practicing yoga, walking. So you may want to match a physical stressor with physical coping, possibly. What you may also notice is what you used to think was a fun coping mechanism in your teens, 20s, 30s, 40s may not be what's fun for you now. So you may have to come up with a different set of coping skills. So emotional can be perhaps having an interpersonal issue. It can be helpful to identify your feelings, to journal, to go to therapy, asking for help. We often forget that we can do that. Practicing forgiveness, gratitude. There's a lot of science with gratitude, affirmations. So those are a couple that could match that area. When we can't interact with people the way we used to, it's just really hard. There's not a lot that can really compare to a really great hug from somebody. And so not being able to have that is really tough. A couple of ways that you can engage in social activity is setting boundaries, calling a friend, a Zoom party. I know many of us are Zoomed out. Pet time. And then also just being mindful of really moderating your social media and news intake, particularly this year with everything going on. And then lastly, the category of spiritual. So for a lot of people, they weren't able to go to their temples or churches. And this could also be worldview. So it doesn't have to be like religion or spirituality. It's kind of like a worldview bucket. And so by not being able to have some of the other outlets that you could have before, that could have been a real challenge. And so making sure to access these areas to help support you. So whether that's being in nature, journaling can be spiritual, silence, practicing silence. So these are a couple of ways that you can really think about how you're connecting with the community, matching your coping mechanisms in a COVID-safe way with a stressor that you're having. So it's not just have a bathtub and light some candles. It requires a little more thought sometimes. So what is the stressor that I'm having, and how am I going to match my coping skill with that?